The next speaker is Mr. Govindrao Adik, Honorable Member of the Indian Parliament.
Namaskar. Greetings from India to all ladies and gentlemen here. Mr. President, I thank you for convening today's session on topic of importance and significance to all of us. Let me at the outset align my delegation with statement delivered by my distinguished colleague from Bangladesh on behalf of non-aligned movement. Mr. President, due to constraint of time, I will not be reading full text of my statement here, which I have circulated to the House with your permission. I am only referring to certain parts of my statement here. Mr. President, I wish to begin echoing the Secretary General's assertion in his report last year on peace building in aftermath of conflict, wherein he had emphasized the imperative of national ownership and the anchoring of international peace building efforts at the level of host country. My delegation recognizes the importance of post-conflict peace building as a foundation for building sustainable peace, security, and development in the aftermath of conflict. Mr. President, sustainable peace building requires an integrated approach with coherence between the political security, development, human rights, and the rule of law activities. Security clearly is the key peace building pillar. Capacity building also assumes significance, especially in instances where countries find it difficult to completely utilize the financial assistance they have been provided. It is equally important to focus on building economic opportunity, particularly for the youth, along with political and social stability. Mr. President, it is equally important to focus on building the economic opportunity, particularly aimed at the youth along with political and social stability. Unemployment amongst the youth, Mr. President, is a major factor for perpetuation of the underlying cause of conflict. Economic revitalization and economic opportunity is, especially among the youth, is crucial in achieving sustainable peace and security. Another key issue is that of the financing. Let us be clear and acknowledge the fact that the lack of funding continues to be a major impediment to the success of peace-building initiatives. It goes without saying that other elements such as human resources, technical assistance through provision of appropriate technologies are important as well. Given the sensitivities of peace-building tasks, such as security sector reforms and development administration, a high degree of coordination with the United Nations is desirable. Work in the country-specific configurations has been a positive dimension. My delegation is, therefore, of the view that the international community, acting through the instrumentality of PBC, must always strive to ensure that there exists a two-way dialogue between countries on the agenda of the PBC and the Commission. In particular, the consultations with the troop and police contributing countries with individually and through the instrumentality of PBC, while formulating and revising mandates of UN missions would be of importance. Mr. President, ever since the creation of PBC in December 2005, India, as a member of the organizing committee, has engaged itself constructively with the work of PBC. We have contributed to the Peace Building Fund with spirit that PBF achieves its task as mandated by the General Assembly and Security Council. Further, we are of the view that the fund should act as a catalyst for good governance. In this regard, we note with approval the creation of the Senior Advisory Group for the review of international civilian capacities in fulfillment of agenda for action outlined by the Secretary General in his 2009 report on peace building and in the aftermath conflict. Mr. President, my delegation is of the view that the international community, acting through the instrumentality of PBC, must always strive to ensure that there is a specific two-way dialogue between countries on the agenda of the PBC and the Commission itself. In this regard, it is important that the ongoing review reorients the existing peace-building architecture that enables the organization committee and the PBC to play more decisive role in formulating the Commission's approach to post-conflict situations. Also, the country-specific configurations must not run ahead of the national governments in setting the targets. National needs rather than the normative prescriptions should determine the peace-building priorities. A mechanism should be devised to incorporate the wealth of experience that is available with troops on the ground. No effort should be left unattended that may enrich the peace-building project in a post-conflict society. To maximize peace dividend through peace-building and peacekeeping, it is necessary that the mandates are mindful of the specifies on the grounds. The Commission and the organizing committee should play an important role in this regard. Mr. President, it is neither possible nor desirable to transplant models specific to one region to another context. International community must not be unduly eager for standard implementation to bring peace in a hurry. Sustainable peace has to be earned diligently, emphatically, and inclusively. In this regard, the regional and sub-regional approaches to crisis situations have a greater relevance while working not out peacekeeping and peace-building mandates at the UN. We believe that the peace-building architecture must institutionalize structures and processes to this end. Mr. President, to assist Peace Building Commission carry out its mandated task of an intergovernmental advisory body, it is incumbent that all organs of peace building architecture, such as General Assembly, the Security Council, and the Economic and Social Council, work in coordinated and coherent manner. The PBC should not merely advise states on the post-conflict peace consolidation, but should instead help with the efficient harnessing of the international expertise. Mr. President, we must be cognizant that the peace building is still concept in its infancy and is continuously evolving. The international community has taken abroad the idea peace building to fulfill the important need of handling post-conflict situations. It is therefore imperative that we ensure that the peace building and the institutions that constitute the peace-building architecture are successful. In conclusion, Mr. President, let me share India's unique nation-building enterprise in vast, varied and diverse settings. We have strived towards better life to our people. In the process, we as a nation have earned capacities that are relevant to the development and peace building. We have shared this experience with a number of countries making transition from conflict to peace. We will continue to make available our abilities to countries in the post-conflict situations and cooperate with the United Nations in its peace-building endeavors. Thank you, Mr. President.
Je remercie
I'd like to thank Mr. Govindrao, the Honorable Member of the Indian Parliament.